Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and we are on the cusp of another season. So Season 9 is wrapping up, so if there's anything else you need to do, make sure you do it before things like obelisks and mods and time-lost weapons go away. But Season 10 is going to be bringing quite a few changes, so I want to start with those today, and then tomorrow I'm probably going to have a video just covering my thoughts on Season 9, a review of everything, and just what to look forward to in the next season. But Season 10 is actually looking to make quite a few changes. So I want to cover each of them with you guys, go over some changes to exotics, power level, pinnacles, power grind, all of that type of stuff, so you guys have an idea what is coming, what to look forward to, and just kind of so you're not in the dark on some of these changes. So here we go. So the first thing to discuss is power level. Now, currently, your powerful gear drops, that's anything that you do that is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, from Gambit matches to 3 Vanguard strikes to your core PvP and your rotator PvP matches, 8 bounties from Zavala. All of that stuff is your powerful drops that you'll generally do by doing some of the, task-oriented things in the game. Those currently got you to 960. That was for Season of Dawn. Next season, that is jumping all the way up to 1,000. So you've actually got a 40 power level bump to try and get up to. And remember, when I'm talking about these, this does not include, as you can see, the plus 18 bonus from your artifact. This is truly gear score only. Artifact is still going to work the same way. As you level it up with experience, you'll be getting a bonus power from that. But the artifact, again, I'll just consider that extra. That's just experience, nothing else, and that's always just a bonus on top, which never hurts. But again, I'm just talking about gear score. So powerful gear drops are still going to be going up 40. So 960 to 1,000. Well, you're also probably asking, what about Pinnacles? Those are going up to 1,010. So it's still just that 10 extra levels above the powerful cap to give you that little extra advantage, whether it be for raids, whether it be for that closer reach towards something like a Grandmaster Nightfall that is coming later, I'll talk about in a little bit. But Pinnacles are going to be 1,010 for your gear cap that you can actually get to from those, and your powerfuls are going to go up to 1,000. So that's one of the biggest changes that's going to happen. Powerful gear drops from pretty much lots of activities are going to last you a little bit longer, especially if you've got multiple characters. Going to take you a little longer to get to that peak level. One more piece when it comes to those, if you are starting new characters, you're a new character. The soft cap, and by soft cap I mean basically any drop including blues from just whatever you do, those are going to be dropping all the way up to 950. So that's actually getting bumped up 50 as well. So if you have a friend who jumps in, literally just playing the game, whether it be a public event, a chest, tokens from a vendor, basically anything that drops is going to be all the way up to 950, and then the powerfuls kick in from there. But it still speeds up that process for a newer character, so powerfuls are not quite as long, especially since the jump is 50, basically almost 50 levels now. For them, it's going to shorten that curve to get into the powerful drop work. So that was one more boost that we've got. Second thing is a major change to Armor 2.0. Now, be it an exotic or legendary, the biggest thing that has slowed some people down is this armor affinity. And when they say affinity, it is going to be arc or solar or void. And basically what that limits is the type of mods that you can put in here. Currently, this piece of armor is void affinity, so I can only use mods that are related to grenade launchers, hand cannons, scouts, sidearms, and sniper rifles. Now, the difference is next season, what you're going to be able to do is probably come up here. It's going to be some type of drop down, maybe right here. And it's going to let you change it from whatever it currently is to either of the other options. So currently this one is void. Somewhere, I'm not sure where it would be, maybe a drop down or something, I'd be changed it to arc or solar. Now, I have a suspicion you're going to be able to pick, because if it was randomly rolled for the price that it's going to be, that would just be mean. So you should be able to pick what it's going to cost. What it will take is one upgrade module, which those usually are not too hard to come by, and then also any currently spent materials depending on the level of your armor. Now right now this one's pretty cheap, it's 2 energy, not a big deal. It's only going to cost me a few legendary shards, nothing major. But say I have something up at level 9 or level 10 that's taken me legendary shards, or sorry, that's taken me enhancement cores, it's taken enhancement prisms, and even ascendant shards. You will have to spend all of that again, because basically what you're doing is skipping getting the piece of armor and leveling it up. So you're skipping getting the piece of armor because you got something that has the stats that you want, but now you're actually getting up to that peak level again for a different affinity, so you are going to have to pay again. We will see how this plays out. General idea that I would say on this is if you do get drops, especially as, these Dawn, the seasonal mod sockets are going to work for a season before and a season after. Not all armor is going to last as long, so as you get new armor drops throughout the course of Season of the Worthy, you're going to be looking at trying to build a couple different sets, whether it be builds for certain playstyles. Say you have, a lot of discipline and you're going to play that with a grenade launcher so you can get Marty's Retribution and Demolitionist or something of that nature. You're going to want to try and, match that stuff early on and kind of plan out your builds. It's going to be a little more painful if you take this one and be like, hey, it's a decent drop. Trust me, the stat roll isn't. But you take this stat roll and you're like, hey, I take this up to 10. And later on, you're like, ah, crap, I actually want this to be solar. It's going to be a lot more expensive if you don't switch early on. So if you get something that looks appealing, think about what affinity you want it to be early. It's going to be much cheaper to switch then. Because right now, one upgrade module and like 2 or 3 legendary shards, not that much. Decent chunk of glimmer. Later on, if it was 9 or 10, it would be, like 10 legendary shards, like 4 or 5 enhancement cores, 3 enhancement prisms, and if it was level 10, another enhancement shard on top of the, or ascendant shard. That's a lot to pay again on the same piece of armor if you've done it once. So the biggest thing is if you are looking at re-rolling affinity, definitely look at changing it to the affinity that you want before you upgrade. But if you do have a piece that you love, just know that it's going to cost you a decent amount. Now, another thing that they stated about Armor 2.0 is related to the stats. Now, stats currently on a lot of armor that many of us get are pretty trash. Most of the time, you'll be looking at stuff down here, and it's going to show 50 for your total stats. 48, 47, 51, 52. Not anywhere near the peak level of stats that you can actually get on a piece of armor. DMGO4 on Twitter, it's Dylan, he's one of the community managers. He confirmed that legendaries, technically a legendary, can drop up to 64, but it seems literally almost impossible to do so. From all the stuff that I've played, people who play more than me, they may have seen one be close to 60. Like, I got a legendary drop at like 58 that was not Iron Banner, and I was honestly very surprised. Like, those are rare as can be. So, they're stating Pinnacle drops, so, every time you level up your experience bar, you get a Pinnacle engram. That's going to have a chance at higher, and also they state spikier distributions. Now, you can only have a total stat level in any stat of, I forget how much it is. I don't think you can probably roll it higher than 30 or 25 or 24 or something like that. But as you guys can see here, this one actually has a pretty decent peak right there in discipline, and they're potentially going to have higher total stats and then spikier distribution. So if you get one that rolls really heavy into mobility and that's the, build that you're going for, you're going to have a chance to really lean heavy into some of these stats that are going to affect your build more, as opposed to just be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So it's going to be nice to see how these things roll. Pinnacles are going to definitely have a lot more value to them because you get them right now and you're like, yay, it's another piece of trash armor. Woo, who cares? The same thing is going to happen to exotics as well. Exotics are going to have a chance at higher stats just kind of across the board. If you get an exotic in the wild, definitely going to be worth taking a look at. So then you're kind of going, okay, I get an exotic I want. Now stats are reasonable. Maybe it's not leaning exactly how I want. Again, not all things are perfect, hence RNG. But now I got decent rolls on the stats. Maybe it's not the best, but at least there's a decent total. And I can change the affinity before I start leveling this thing up. Okay, I got something I can work with, as opposed to, I got another pair of Lunafaction boots that is arc and I can't stand it and I don't need them. And the roll sucks too. Like, hopefully some of that is going to get curtailed with this. Should be a little bit better. General legendaries will have a higher spread. So Pinnacles should have higher stats, and Exotic should have higher stats just generally. Legendary drops, just normal legendaries, will have a better spread of higher, but lower is still going to happen. I mean, you're still going to get your drop that rolls at like 46 or 47, but hopefully we'll start to see a more frequent action of 58, 59, maybe even 60s, every so often, as opposed to just completely rare and next to impossible. So cross our fingers, their math is correct and we actually get some decent rolls on random stuff as well as the Pinnacles and Exotics. Don't mind my giant stockpile of bounties. Again, not trying to abuse the system too bad, but I actually did kind of farm some of these, so we'll see how much experience I get. But the biggest thing, they're saying the quest tab is actually going to get updated. There's going to be 7 different categories, things like new light, seasonal activities, core stuff, playlist activities like Vanguard and Crucible. So there's going to be quests that are going to kind of be dumped into buckets, and hopefully that sorting will make that better. Maybe we'll get a few more bounties, or maybe the bounty total is going to be separate from quests. We'll see how it goes, but this entire screen is going to get a update to it, which I think can only be a good thing for all of us. Very curious what it actually finally looks like, but just the fact that a little sorting of quests that seem to kind of jump all over the place if you have a lot of stuff going on, maybe a different page for the bounties themselves. All in all, just very curious to see, kind of excited. Hopefully this is a good thing in general. So we do have some changes coming to subclasses, abilities. So I'm going to go through my Titan first just because I'm here. Then I'll switch over and show you guys the changes to the other two characters. And then we're going to talk about weapons and finally go over all of the exotic changes, and we'll just kind of look through the collections as we go. So starting with Titans, one of the biggest ones is actually going to be, and this is very much based around trials coming in, it's going to be your Titan Rally Barricade or Towering Barricade, either one. Typically for PvP, you'll be going Towering, so you can use those as for resurrections. Trials is all about bringing your teammates back to life, and a wall in front of you is quite helpful when you're trying to bring a buddy back. So they're changing up how the barricade actually works. They're taking the hit points from 500 up to 600, but they're also going to make certain weapons stronger against barricades. Getting a 30% buff, you're going to be using snipers, grenade launchers, linear fusions, machine guns, trace rifles, and anti-barrier weapons. So those mods are actually going to be beneficial in PvP. And then also you've got shotguns and fusions doing 60% extra damage to those barricades. So if you're going to run up with a shotgun, you might be able to melt straight through that barrier, nuke the guy who's going for the res, and maybe if he gets the res off, just keep going. So there may be a benefit to some shotguns that can fire faster to double tap, a towering barricade, kill the person who got res, and just everybody right there behind the barricade could be in trouble if those shotguns or fusions as well from a little farther away can melt those barricades and the people behind them. So that's definitely going to be one big change. Second one is going to be shoulder charge. So anything related to our shoulder charge abilities as Titans, they're changing how it works. It used to be 4.5 meters, basically travel distance with the, if you were untargeted, which many of us just used to travel a little bit of ground, and then 6 meters if it was actually targeted towards an enemy, especially in PvP. We know we've covered some ground before. They're adjusting that to 5.5 meters for both types. So a benefit to untargeted and traveling is going to be a little farther, but the targeted one in PvP is going down by half a meter. It's a decent balance between travel a little faster, shoulder charge a little less. Overall, just kind of adjusting that range more than anything was the main change. Still, I feel like even shoulder charge got a little tweaking to the targeting because I definitely have missed a few at this point. Not saying it's not, still a one-shot run around and slam somebody, but I've definitely missed a few, so I do think shoulder charge has been looked at for sure. Finally, they talk about a couple different subclasses which seem to be expecting some changes. Now, when they go through, they look at their data, they see quite a few things that could be like really heavy use in PvE, kills a lot of enemies when it's activated, very powerful in PvE. They have a lot of data. So from what they've got, they're basically stating two things are going to be, for a Titan, going to be looking at changing. Both are in Arc. So we've got the Striker bottom subclass, and one of the main reasons is Trample. This is one of the more powerful ones that allows you to kill lots of enemies. Destroying enemies with Fist of Havoc extends its duration. So if you're clearing ads, yeah, kills per minute on this one, probably a lot more than this guy right here, because this is a one-timer. You can go smash 20 different enemies and still be going, depending. So they're definitely going to be bringing this one down a little bit. But, as I just said up here, they're also going to be looking at bringing up a couple subclasses as well, and it's going to be the Striker middle tree, the Thunder Clash subclass. So they're going to be bringing this one up somehow, and bringing this one down a little bit, because these are kind of the outliers for the Titan subclass. On to the Warlock. For the Warlocks, basically what they mention is Warlocks have a slower melee than the other two classes. Now, it could just because of the animations that they've developed for the class, and it could be easier to change what I'm going to tell you versus changing up the animations. But basically what's going to happen is the Warlocks are going to have a longer range due to the speed of the melee. So technically, if a Warlock does hit you at that perfect range, they're probably going to be able to kill you because they're going to get that melee off first. But if you guys were just standing next to each other and you both tapped your melee fast, the Warlock would lose that battle because the other classes are going to be able to finish their melees faster. So it's a range exchange because the speed of the animation and the speed of the melees are slower. So that is going to be one change. Second one is Handheld Supernova. Now, some of you guys may love this thing, some of you guys may abuse it, some of you guys may hate seeing it. It's going to be toned down quite a bit. Now, some people have said it could still be very powerful in the right hands, which I still think it's going to be able to kill you. It's just going to be a little less freedom to it, and there's even exotic that affects this one as well. So, changes to Handheld Supernova are as follows. Takes longer to activate it, and you're also able to hold it for a shorter amount of time. It's got 20% less range, and the spread of the Handheld Supernova Blast is actually going to be 25% tighter. The explosion range of each of those little bolts has actually been reduced by half a meter, 3.3 to down to 2.5. And also, you can actually cause self-damage now if you do this basically point blank. It's going to hurt you. So handheld supernova getting toned down quite a bit. It's been an outlier that has been more and more apparent on Warlocks, at least as a Titan I faced. I know you guys hate the shoulder charge, so guess what? Ours is changing a little bit as well. So overall, the handheld supernova definitely getting toned down quite a bit. But as we also stated, a couple of subclasses are going to be changing. Now, the ones that are going to be coming up are the Voidwalker Bottom Tree subclass. So Bottom Tree subclass, we're looking at basically the Vortex Nova Bomb. This one is not used that often. You do have Devour, which is really beneficial PvE situations as well. Fully regenerate your health. Feed the Void, you know, consume your grenade, regenerate your health, get Devour back, get kills. Kind of a good cycle in PvE, but it still doesn't seem to be that often, especially on supers. And you also have Insatiable. Like, Devour is its own thing. Still potentially fairly powerful, but the Vortex just really not that often used. The Slova Bomb with the big spreading explosion, that may be the thing that gets a little bit of love here, but Voidwalker Bottom Tree apparently going to be getting some love since it is an outlier, apparently. On the other side, we have the Stormcaller Top Tree. This is the one with Chain Lightning melee, Transcendence, so when cast with full grenade melee energy, it lasts longer and fully restores health. Iconic Blink during Stormkrantz, and Arc Web. So apparently this one is going to be the one that also seems to be the one that is brought down. So main reason, most likely because Transcendence can make this thing last longer. You put the Crown of Tempest on as well. This thing can last an extremely long time, which in fairness, I thought never... This is one of those weird ones. I never thought some of these were truly outliers and felt OP. They just felt kind of fun. So the fact that this one is being brought down a little bit, I guess I'll have to see how extreme it is. Maybe they have data showing that, you know, Transcendence with Crown of Tempest is just like the super lasts ridiculously long and you can clear room forever. Maybe they want it a little bit toned back. I don't know. Super should feel powerful. I guess we'll see. Hopefully they don't nerf it into the ground. You've got Arc Web. So enemies damaged by your grenades chain deadly lightning damage to each enemy. Each grenade or melee chain returns grenade energy as well. And then, of course, you can blink during Stormkrantz. So we'll see what the changes are, but this one does seem to be getting a little bit of a microscope, toned down to some nature, still not sure exactly what. Alright, so finally we talk about Hunter changes. We've got two things. One, the Trip Mine Grenade is going to be sticky again. Kind of don't know why that specifically went away, but the Trip Mine is going to be sticky again. So if you see anybody running around like a unicorn, they're about to die. So probably don't stand near them. Honestly, stickies are always fun. I don't know if it's going to be a one-shot, but the fact that it would hit somebody and not stick to them kind of shouldn't have gone away, so I'm glad that is coming back. The other one is related to the weighted throwing knife. Now, this is the one that you can basically get a single shot headshot, and they are reducing tracking significantly. I helped Cool Guy, I think it was Cool Guy, do some of the testing, or Fallout. One of those two guys, they do so much testing, I can't quite remember which one. This thing will hook like a, you know, a curveball in baseball. You don't even have to be on the head, and it's going to make that sharp turn to the left in the end, even if you're not sitting on, like, the head in your scope. So they're toning down the tracking significantly. It's still going to bounce. It's still going to get, you know, some headshots, I'm sure. You're just going to have to be a little bit more accurate. It's not going to have ridiculous forgiveness as it used to. Might get a few more body shots and things of that nature that aren't going to swing straight up to the head. So all in all, it was a little heavy. It's been fun to use for quite a few people, seeing quite a few montages on it, but it is going to be toned down in the tracking department, so it's not quite ridiculously magnetized to everybody's forehead. They hurt quite a bit. For subclasses that are going to be changing, the Arc Strider Bottom Tree subclass seems to be the one that is going to be coming down. So one that includes Disorienting Blow, Focused Breathing, so faster sprint speed, and sprinting recharges your dodge ability. Kind of a good thing. Combat Meditation, when critically wounded, melee and grenades recharge drastically faster, and Lightning Reflexes, you are harder to kill while dodging. So dodging, especially as people are in their super, they'll just kind of flip at you over and over. Maybe that's just a little too easy to get away with it. Not entirely sure what the changes are, but this is the one that's going to be coming down. Let's talk about the one that's going to be getting a little love. A tree that's going to be getting a little extra love this season is going to be Way of the Pathfinder. We've got Vanish in Smoke, throw a smoke bomb from a distance, making you and nearby allies invisible. Heart of the Pack grants weapon haste, increased mobility, recovery, and resilience. You've got Lockdown, grenade effects last twice as long, allowing for strong territorial control and increased damage. You've got Combat Provision, damaging enemies with grenades, grants melee ability energy, making allies invisible, and grants grenade energy. And then finally, Mobius Quiver. Fire Shadow Shot multiple times in rapid succession. Shadow Shot deals massive damage against tethered enemies. Defeating tethered enemies creates orbs and grants nearby allies Heart of the Pack buff. So Not one I see frequently used per se, and that may be why it's going to be getting a little bit of love. But the multiple quiver shots I've definitely seen used in PvP before, getting multiple kills. And if you hit an enemy, I've seen people definitely dump quite a bit of damage. They buff the Shadow Shot super damage itself on enemies. I will be curious to see the changes on this one as well. But that is all of the subclass changes. Now we've got some weapons to talk about. First exotic that is going to be changing is Izanagi's Burden. Now, some of you guys may have heard about this one, but the main thing is the animation speed of Honed Edge is no longer affected by the reload stats. So Honed Edge is going to take the time that it takes. No matter if you are behind a rally barricade or anything, Honed Edge is going to take the time that it takes, period. You're not going to be able to make it any faster. They're also changing one of the perks. They're changing Outlaw, which precision kills greatly decrease reload time, which is not one of those that extremely affects like bosses per se. The boss damage is still mainly from that Honed Edge and just pumping out continuous damage with faster reloads. But on the other side, Outlaw being replaced with no distractions does give you actually a chance to get some of more of those critical shots off that you need when that Honed Edge is loaded in to make sure that hit strikes. So no distractions, less flinch paired with Honed Edge, kind of a good thing, but the reload speed on normal enemy kills with this one definitely going to be a little slower. So reload speed, if you can get a perk of reload speed with sniper rifles, that will help you with regular reload speed. Honed Edge, though, not going to be doing that much. So I'll be curious to see how the DPS totals and everything break down after this patch comes out. But Izanagi's reloads just going to be slower pretty much across the board, it seems like. Sniper rifles. We have quite a few changes coming to sniper rifles. The first being that damage to major enemies and above, so that's majors and bosses, has been reduced by about 20%. We got a buff in Shadowkeep. Apparently they think snipers are too strong. People have different arguments about this, of snipers, like, you know, they're safe due to their range and their damage is very strong. But again, you limit us on ammo, you have stomp mechanics, and they are trying to get away from stomp mechanics to a point, but the way the bosses are designed, even the Sanctified Mind floats up in the air. What am I going to use? Something that hits hard at range. Enter sniper rifle. So, again, part of the reason so many people tend to use sniper rifles, I think, is the way the mechanics of a lot of the game is built. But they are trying to hopefully work on making mechanics and activities that don't force us into, like, these, you know, stand together, pack up, and then shoot that sniper rifle from range. We'll just have to see how this falls. But overall, all snipers 20% less effective against majors and bosses. Kind of going to feel that one. We'll have to see what kind of fills in the gap instead. Adaptive snipers, precision multiplier has been reduced by about 0.3x. And then rapid fire snipers, which I'm pretty sure this one actually is going to have its damage reduced from 100 down to 90. So technically with this sniper rifle, if I hit somebody twice, apparently it would hit for 100 and 100 to the body. And I could two-body someone in PvP. This is very much a change for PvP. It's so I can't two-body someone with my 2 bullets and take someone out ultra fast in PvP, especially in trials. So it's going to take one headshot specifically. You're going to want to go for the headshots. Now you could do a body, maybe follow up with a couple shots. But generally, you're not going to be able to two-body with a rapid hit sniper. Definitely kind of bringing those in. In my mind, a sniper is still, if you take 2 shots with any sniper rifle in life to a body, I guess we're Guardians, we need them to hit a little bit harder. Now, they have said the higher level snipers are still going to be able to do, you know, 2 shots to the body. Certain ones are going to be able to take out supers. But these rapid ones, definitely not the bam-bam to the body. That's over. Grenade launchers are also getting a change. This is going to be about a 10% damage reduction to major enemies and above. So majors and bosses, grenade launchers across the board are going down. Grenade launchers have seen a lot of use, very specifically Swarm of the Raven. If you have spike grenades, you know, Rampage and Field Prep, you can dump out a crap load of damage. So they're taking all aggressive frame grenade launchers. Swarm of the Raven is included in that bunch, and they're basically to turn them into rapid frame grenade launchers. Rapid frame grenade launchers have had their damage reduced to account for their rate of fire. So they're not going to be able to, they're going to pump out the damage, but do a little less damage. So they're doing 0.8x. So they're getting about a 20% reduction as well as the 10% to bosses. But also they have increased reserve. So your overall damage may be about the same. It's just going to take you longer to put it out. Now, they did say aggressive frame grenade launchers fired faster than adaptive, but had the same damage. So they've kind of tried to bring this in line so adaptive grenade launchers have a place. So things along the lines like play of the game, that's an adaptive grenade launcher. If you got spike grenades on this one, it's still taking the 10% hit, but it's not getting the aggressive complete drop. So adaptives may have a little bit of a new place. If you've got a good roll on adaptive, maybe hold on to that thing. Save that sucker for next season. Lord of Wolves, oh the bane of many people's PvP existence, is finally getting a bit more of a nerf. Got brought down once, wasn't really enough. They basically allowed you to turn Release the Wolves on whenever you want. But especially on PC, now I've heard console it's not as bad, but on PC, this thing is a monster. It's very accurate at a pretty substantial range. So the main thing they're doing, Release the Wolves now significantly reduces the weapon's accuracy while active. Not going to hit you nearly as well. Hopefully it jumps around like crazy. I'm hoping this is enough of a change that it's still functional in PvE if you want to use it, but it's not a PvP killer like it is right now. It is just brutal in PvP. Little bit of an outlier to say the absolute least about this thing, so hopefully this comes back down. The last word also getting some changes. Basically what they're going to do is they want this thing to be a hipfire weapon and not ADS. So they're changing the impact values for the weapons. Precision and hipfire are going to be adjusted from basically 67.95 for hip and ADS being exactly the same to 68 being a smidge, like the tiniest fraction higher for hipfire, but then ADS is dropping by almost like 15 damage. So it's definitely going to take 4 shots instead of 3. Non-hipfire precision is going from 50 down to 38. So if you don't hit those precision shots, both of those are going to be weaker. So precision hipfire shots are going to be the only way you're really going to get that 3-tap. It is definitely going to take you longer if you're going to the body for sure. Also, aiming down sights no longer provides additional effective range. They're going to reduce the stability for mouse and keyboard, reduce the effective range on the gun in general, and to improve the experience of just the way target acquisition is handled while hip firing. So it could be a little stronger while hip firing, but less stable, less range, and those precision hip fire shots are the only ones that are really going to be hitting hard enough to get that really fast time to kill. Shotguns and fusions are both getting a similar change. They're basically saying the aim assist on both of these weapons can sometimes steer the weapon to go for the head. But if you're looking for a shotgun or a fusion kill, you're likely to trying to put it in the biggest part of the target, the chest. And if it veers towards the head through aim assist, you're going to be drawing a circle around their head with some of the shots, as opposed to putting all of the shots into their chest, and aim assist is pulling us away from that. So both shotguns and fusion rifles are getting that change where the aim assist is not going to pull toward the head. It may hopefully actually be pulling more towards the body, which is what we're going for. They also said aim down sights for shotguns is no longer going to adjust effective range, so hip or ADS is going to be about the same. And also they state the cone angle, which basically you're talking about kind of the spread of the pellets, is not going to be adjusted by the range stat. Shout out to Fallout, he's done a lot of work on shotguns. Probably going to have to do more work, but you know, he's got more videos for you to watch. On the other side, they talk about fusion rifles. Again, they are getting that adjustment, so aim assist is no longer pulling towards the precision locations, mostly just going for the general body, so it's not steering away from the biggest part of the target. They are also going to increase the damage follow-up of this weapon archetype, so the floor can be half the damage instead of 3/4 the damage. So even if somebody's like 60, 70 yards away, and I hit them with a bolt, it was still hitting for 3/4 of the damage. But now it's going to be switching to half the damage. So definitely going to be much weaker at range. You're going to have to find that effective range for these weapons. And they're also changing backup plan, which is one of the perks for fusion rifles, which has been kind of nice. I don't know how this one's going to go. Backup plan now adjusts impact to match the rapid fire sub archetype while active. Charge time is now set to match the rapid fire archetype subtype, 0.85 while active. So backup plan is going to allow you to fire faster, but not allow you to fire stronger, which is kind of a, I don't know. Backup plan was actually kind of cool because you'd whip over to a fusion rifle and that one shot was going to hit pretty powerfully. Now it's not going to hit as strong. Yeah, if somebody's in close range, you're still going to want to put all the bolts into them and they'll probably die, but you're not going to be able to just switch and probably like half map somebody. So it's definitely going to be a little more of a controlled situation when backup plan is effective, not across the map. Final general weapon change is going to be to auto rifles. Now, the slowest auto rifles apparently have had their buff that they're going to have, so no major changes are going to happen. But we do have changes to the following types. We have precision frame, adaptive frame, and rapid frame, all getting a boost to their damage. Now, auto rifles fire a lot of bullets, so it's not the biggest numbers of change, but you've definitely got some that you're going to want to consider checking out. Things like Suros, Breakneck. Auto rifles getting a little bit of a buff and as many bullets as they fire could start adding up over time. So take Breakneck, for example. Now we know it fires faster due to, you know, onslaught, so it's not exactly the same the whole time, but even just your standard precision frame auto rifle, damage is going from 17 to the body and 27 or 25.5 to precision to 17 to the body, 27.2 to precision. So you're getting a little, like almost a 2 damage buff to precision. And those are going to start adding up a little bit. Adaptive frames are going from 13.75 and 22 to 15.75 and 25. So that's getting a 2 and a 3 level bump. And then rapid fire frames are going to go from 12.5, 18.75 to 13.44. So that's like a 1 damage bump up to 20.1. So a little more than 1. And rapid fires pump out a lot of damage. So they're small increments and they're always afraid of making basically any auto rifle too powerful, because there's been metas where auto rifles are just like destroying everybody. So these little incremental changes may not sound like much, but we're hoping these are going to bring auto rifles into a little bit of a better point where they start to feel pretty good. So we'll see, but most auto rifles are getting a little bit of a boost. Take them out of your vault, see how they're doing. Alright, so final thing I'm going to go through is all the changes to exotics that have been announced for next season. I'm going to go through each exotic. I'll try and have some timestamps on screen, and they're definitely all below in the description for the classes. I'm going to do Titan, Warlock, and then Hunter. So let's go through each of these exotics and see what changes we've got. Ashen Wake currently has, you know, grenades explode on impact and gain increased throw speed. And you're like, woo. This is going to change. Killing an enemy with a fusion grenade while wearing this exotic now refunds grenade energy. The amount of grenade energy refunded scales based on the tier of the enemy. And you have your minor, your major, and your bosses. So depending on what you kill with that grenade is going to determine how much grenade energy you get back. And as grenades, fusion grenades, I don't know if they're still going to explode on impact, but potentially you can get some grenade energy back and start throwing those to pair that with like a discipline build and then a demolitionist like set of weapons. You could be a grenade throwing machine. Who knows? Like get somebody low and then throw a grenade out there, get that kill, especially on the boss. Like you can start pumping through quite a few. We'll see if this matters, but at least it might make me try Ashen Wake because I really haven't cared about it before. Antaeus Wards. Currently, improved sliding reflects incoming projectiles. Reflecting projectiles grants super energy. Main thing about this is kind of like a montage-worthy thing, but it's really going to be impossible to do it consistently. They're not worth the risk, and for a slot, especially an exotic, could be used pretty much better on anything else. They say the shield created during the slide no longer allows chip damage to go through, so you're not going to take part of the damage of whatever you're actually reflecting back, which is a good thing, but again, the timing of it, you got to be ultra skilled to use things. These have a crazy high skill ceiling, but it's tough to get them in there. I still don't think these are going to be that great. They're honestly mostly for montage clips, personally, but that's just me. Doomfang Pauldrons are basically having a bug fixed. Sometimes would grant super energy from melee kills while in your super. So you would be getting super energy back while getting melee kills, as opposed to while Sentinel Shield is active, melee kills recharge shield throw, which extends your super on hits. I know that actually sounds like it's supposed to extend your super, but hopefully they kind of adjust that flavor text. It sounds like it was just kind of a bug where you're getting too much or on things that weren't supposed to be giving you super energy, so it's just going to be fixed to work as intended more than anything. Dune Marchers, they are increasing the radius of the static charge up to 20 meters from 12. Now currently you increase sprint speed. Sprinting builds up a static charge. After melee attacking enemy, that charge will chain to nearby enemies. 12 meters is decent. I've seen that change between like 2 or 3 thrall from decent range. 20 is large. That is actually a pretty substantial range that you're going to be able to hit and then chain some damage to. So even if you run faster in PvP, which typically people want to do anyway, and then you get up to a group and you punch somebody and somebody's like a little farther away than you think, you might hurt them enough that you could whip out, you know, shotgun at farther range than probably, or an auto rifle or a sidearm, and finish that person off too. So these might be something to consider, especially if you're an up close, you know, aping shotgun person. Don't count these out. They might actually be pretty good. Mark 44 stand-asides currently grants an overshield when you're sprinting at full health with you know, shoulder charge options. Hits with these abilities recharge a portion of your melee energy. Now, what this change is going to be is they reduce the delay from the start of sprinting until the overshield comes in down to 0.5 seconds. It was 1.25 seconds. You're almost going to get it a second faster than you did before. 3/4 of a second, it's going to be a huge difference. Like, you're going to start sprinting and that shield's going to be there really fast. So definitely going to be some shield chargers running around. Can't say some of the hate for this thing is unjustified, but handheld Supernova still pisses me off more. So I'm a Titan. I guess I'm biased. Who knows? Alright, so One-Eyed Mask is finally changing, and even as a Titan main, when I face other Titans with this thing on, it even ticks me off, so I'm honestly okay with these changes, because it's had a long enough run, it's time to put it away. So it's going to change away from target marking that you can see through walls to target highlighting, which is going to make them stand out, but you cannot track them through walls. Another thing that it's going to do, it's no longer going to provide a damage bonus when you defeat the marked target. So that's also a good thing. Now, it is going to go back to healing and granting you an overshield after you defeat that target. So if you do win that battle, you get an overshield. But it's only going to last for 6 seconds instead of 8. So they're toning this thing down a lot. Wall hacks are going away. The bonus damage is going away. And then the overshield is going to be coming back, but it's going to be shorter. Seems a reasonable give and take. So you do still probably expect to see this in there somewhat. Because, you know, getting a kill on a highlighted target, giving you a shield back is going to keep you alive. And there's some still survivability to it. But it's not going to be damage, wall hacks, and healing, and overshield. Like, there was a point just ultra broken. So we'll see. It still might have some use, but toned down for sure. Final one for the Titans is actually the new one this season, the Severance Enclosure. Defeating a Guardian with a melee attack or combatant with a finisher unleashes a damaging explosion. They're kind of going into the idea, for one, the explosion now triggers on powered melee, both against combatants and guardians and finishers. So it's on powered melee instead of a melee attack. So that may be a little harder. You might actually have your ability up. But on the other side, the radius and damage of the explosion created by this exotic is based on the tier of the enemy. They do this on a couple different exotics. So again, minor, major, and bosses, the explosion is potentially going to be bigger. I'm not sure who's going to risk trying to run in and punch a boss to see if it blows up the entire room. But in theory, that would be kind of cool. Giant risk versus reward, but I don't see the explosion being substantial enough to like make risking punch a boss matter because they all stomp us anyway. So I don't know if that one's going to matter this much. I still don't think this thing's quite amazing, but you know, we'll see what that explosion looks like later on. Next, we're going to switch over to the Warlocks who've got some changes. First, the Apotheosis Veil, and honestly, this one is going to stay basically as is. Only difference, whenever you see this thing drop in the wild, it's going to have a minimum of 16 intellect, which is a good thing, because immediately regenerates health, melee grenade, and rift injury upon activating your super. It's based around your super. You should be able to get your super up more often. If you get a roll on Apotheosis Veil that has 2 intellect, you're like, really? Like, seriously? So that's hopefully going to be a change, and if it's a minimum of 16, it could be higher, so this actually might be one if you're going for an intellect build, one to consider for sure. Nearby allies recharge class abilities faster. That sounds like it's going to stay the same. Now, all of you handheld supernova wearers can also hopefully be a little easier to kill. I was facing somebody earlier and they were doing Controverse Hold, and I'm like, this is just way too powerful. So, Chaotic Exchanger resists incoming damage while charging your Void Grenade with Chaos Accelerant, Feel the Void, and Handheld Supernova. Charging Void Grenades return a random amount of grenade energy on hit. Sounds like that's still going to be there. So if you throw these handheld supernova, sounds like you're still going to get some of it back. But the damage reduction was 40%, which is substantial. That's going down to 20%. So you're going to be a little harder to kill, but not like almost god tier and give you enough time to charge it and throw it at me, and I just can't seem to kill you. So I know I have this thing against handheld supernova, but I'm very glad it's coming down. It's quite annoying to face. The Sanguine Alchemy is getting completely reworked. It's going to have a new perk called Blood Magic, and it's going to allow the wearer to pause the countdown timer of any rift they are standing in by getting weapon kills, extending the rift duration. So currently the heightened senses seeing through walls while standing on a rift, it's gone. Basically what you're going to be able to do, and it sounds like this is actually going to be more of a PvE exotic than PvP, because take an empowered rift, you can stand in it, take a, you know, decently strong weapon or even like pulses or scouts and start picking enemies off. You can have that empowering rift last a long time, and it's just a regular rift, and you can do that from range just by getting those kills. So picking off enemies, getting extra damage, I actually see this thing making a shift to PvE more than PvP anymore. Now, Ophidian aspects, weapon ready and reload speed is still going to stay very quickly. Melee range is extended is the description here. They state it now increases the lunge range of all Warlock melee attacks, even if the ability is on cooldown. So even if your Warlock melee ability is on cooldown, the standard melee is going to get an increase on top of that. So they are getting a boost to the range from, I think, 5.5 to 6.5. So they're going to have that farther range than everybody. And if you're wearing this thing, I swear you're going to be slapping people across the map. I know you actually won't, but it's definitely going to be a boost on all melees. So if you're one of those who gets in punching battles, Ophidian might be your guy. Verity's Brow. Now, this is one that probably doesn't get a lot of love. Even Lord Cognito on the podcast was like, I don't know if I've even ever used this thing. Currently, the perk Energy Weapon Kills boost grenade rate recharge rate for you and your nearby allies. You're like, okay, so if I get kills with an energy weapon, my grenades recharge faster and so do my allies. It's not bad. It's getting a bit of a buff. So now, the buff provides this exotic increases your grenade damage by 10% per stack. Now, I'm wondering if this is going to work the way like Wendigo was, where you just start stacking the buff against like their grenades in there. And I don't know how high it could go. It's probably going to be like 30, 40, 50. It's probably going to cap at like 50% damage bonus. But if you get, 5 energy weapon kills on ads, and then you throw a 50% more powerful grenade on a boss, it's going to do some damage for sure. The buff to allies' grenade energy recharge rates now kicks in when you cast your grenade. So you're going to kind of stockpile this boost of grenade damage. Then when you throw your grenade, you're going to apparently, I guess, give the recharge rate of the grenades to your allies as well. Your grenade's going to be stronger. And it's also going to have a buff text notifying indicating how many allies are currently bidding from your increased grenade recharge. So stronger grenades, throwing the grenade helps yours and your allies recharge. All in all, could be a little better, especially with those stronger grenades and like stacking that damage. The main curiosity I think is going to be how high that damage stacks. If you start stockpiling like, hey, I just killed like 10 ads and my grenade does 100% extra damage, yeah, you could probably cook a boss for a little while. Should be interesting. So very curious how this one pans out. Finally, we come to the Hunter. Alright, so Assassin's Cowl, currently Vanishing Execution, defeating a Guardian, so actually getting the kill with a melee attack, or a combatant with a finisher grants invisibility and restores a portion of health and shields. Now, this thing's getting quite a few changes. One, the invisibility and healing effect now triggers on powered melee, so not regular melee attacks, but a powered melee, but as you notice, a kill is not required. Finishers still work the same way, but a kill isn't required, but if you land a powered melee attack, you get the invisibility, health, and shields back. Now, I can see somebody screwing with me, coming up, slapping me upside the head, going invisible, and I'm like, where'd you go? That second punch is not going to be hard to get. And guess what? They're healed, have shields, and they're off into the battle again. So, potentially, if you get in a lot of punching matches, this could be beneficial. Now, they also state the duration of the invisibility granted by this exotic, same as others, is going to be increased based on the tier of the enemy. If you punch a thrall, probably not that big of a deal. If you manage to punch a boss, you're going to be invisibility and probably get a larger chunk of health and shields back. So, actually, the invisibility is what's going to change, not the health and shields. Also, they state Arc Staff no longer activates this perk, so that's probably going to be a good thing to help tone that thing down as well. Frosties. Rapid cooldown. Increases grenade, melee, and dodge regeneration while sprinting. Dodging increases your sprint speed. You're like, okay, sounds pretty straightforward. You get some stuff while sprinting, your sprint speed is increased. They're going to change the ability regeneration so that it no longer stacks multiplicatively with other class ability regenerating perks. Apparently, you could pair these with others and everything would probably recharge a bit too fast for Bungie's liking. So, mostly, if you do sprint, you're still going to get the recharge, but it's just not going to be pairing with other stuff that was making it a bit OP. Now, Kepri's Sting is going to be interesting. Punching someone with full melee energy will instantly cast Smoke Bomb, gain True Sight while in your own Smoke Bomb effect. You're like, okay, so they've been hit by Smoke Bomb, and you gain True Sight. Guess what it also does? Now, Smoke Bombs deal 150% damage while wearing this exotic. Smoke Bombs are going to hurt, and especially if you get punched, you may as well just kiss your butt goodbye, because you're going to choke to death in the cloud of smoke. But even the ones that people throw, like Wombo Combo is the joke where you throw that and a Void Grenade, if you get stuck in the smoke and the Void Grenade gets you, you're probably screwed. So, 150% damage bonus by Smoke Bombs, you're going to feel it, 100%. Orpheus Rig. Just in case this thing hasn't been brought down enough, they are putting a max cap on this sucker. So it provides ability energy for each enemy tethered by deadfall anchors. Mobius Quiver, it gives more shots to. Orpheus Quiver, that's quite a fun combination of words there. Orpheus Rig, the maximum amount of super energy you can regain from this exotic with a single use of Shadow Shot is 50%. Period. They do not want people trying to regenerate a mass chunk of their super by tethering a bunch of enemies. Doesn't matter how many you tether, at a point, 50% is all you're getting back. Now, 50% of a super isn't bad, but you're not going to have it up as often as you would before. They're really trying to get away from this, like, forever super regeneration on any exotics. The Warlock one, that thing's pretty much shot as well. So, this thing definitely has a hard cap. Young Ahamkar's Fine is the final exotic getting a change. Wish Dragon Teeth increases trip mine duration and blast radius. Ability damage grants trip mine grenade energy. So you increase the grenade duration and blast radius. Ability damage grants trip mine grenade energy. So if you get damage with your grenade, you're going to get some of that energy back. And basically what they've said is they've increased the explosion radius by trip mines by 14%. So I don't know if it's 14% more than it currently does, or if it's just clearly like it is exactly 14%. I don't know, but pretty minor change, just a bigger blast radius, even if it's on top of what it was. If you like trip mines, this may be your guy. Now, there is one more change coming in Season of the Worthy, at least that we know of right now. I'm sure there's other stuff as we come. But they have stated somewhere in the middle of the season, which I would imagine is going to match up right in line with Grandmaster Ordeals, because that's kind of literally 6 weeks in. They're talking about patch 2.8.1, kind of the mid-season patch, and they are talking about adding more sources for Pinnacle rewards. So actually, I'm very curious of those of you guys that have made it this far in the video, because I know it was a lengthy one. They're going to add Pinnacle rewards to be coming from Gambit, Strike, and Crucible weekly challenges, as well as the weekly clan engram. They're also going to be working on, I don't know if it's going to be coming in this patch or later, the slot imbalance for Pinnacle drops. Those of you that get 10 Pinnacle energy weapons in a row, hopefully they're going to be working on some way to have a little bit of smart RNG so that doesn't happen nearly as often. So if you're doing Pinnacles, you are at least rewarded with stuff that can continue to help your level, not 20 energy weapons of the same level that you want to blow your brains out. But the biggest thing is adding Pinnacle rewards to these weekly challenges. Now, I don't know if it's going to be these, where you do a weekly Vanguard Strike challenge, complete 3 strikes, or you go into Gambit and you literally complete 3 matches of Gambit, whether it's regular or prime. Those are weekly challenges. But on the other side, there's also weekly challenges when you come to your vendors, where you've got doing weekly Crucible bounty challenges, you've got weekly Strike bounty challenges, weekly Gambit bounty challenges. Those are going to be one or the other, but one is like 3 strikes or 3 Gambit matches, or Crucibles like 4 potential matches, or you've got 8 bounties. Either way, I was just very curious what your guys' thoughts on giving more Pinnacle rewards for the easier activities. I know some people are like, hey, it'll give me a chance to get some more Pinnacle rewards because I don't have a way to get into raids or dungeons and things. But also on the other side, my question to you guys is, do you feel like it devalues things like raids and dungeons because those are the pieces that give the Pinnacle gear? They've already given Pinnacles a +2 instead of a +1, which allows people to get up to max Pinnacle gear score if they do raid and do those in-game activities. Just wanted to hear your thoughts, as you guys might be seeing more Pinnacle gear coming, but it's going to be from activities that are not going to be of what I would consider a Pinnacle nature. So that is everything coming from changes in Season 10 that I could compile. I know this is a long video, but I wanted to give you guys every piece of information about an exotic you might not know. Subclass changes, one-hit kills, power level, all that stuff is coming. We've got activities. We know we've got Trials of Osiris. We've got stuff coming with Rasputin, the Warmind, new public events, legendary lost sectors. All of that stuff is coming. I can do a separate video about that one, but I figured most of you guys have probably seen that by now. But some of these changes that are mostly in the blog articles from Bungie may have been overlooked, so I want to do an overall recap of everything that may be changing when you log in on Tuesday. So, thank you guys very much. Enjoy. Have a great one. If you haven't followed me on Twitch and Twitter, please do so. You can see my tweets of when I go live or new content or anything there. If I'm streaming, which I will be doing as much as I can at least, you can follow me there. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. It's a great way to support me. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, leave a comment if you have thoughts about anything I discussed today. And then finally, if you guys do want to support me directly, I do have a Patreon set up, and that is one of the best ways to actually support me directly so other parties aren't taking the pieces of the change. So thank you all very much. Have an awesome one, and Season of the Dawn is coming, and my Season 9 review will be coming up tomorrow. Have a good one. I'll see you soon.